On today's session of Secure Squad, we discuss what happens when a social engineering attack succeeds. The fallout has far more consequences than you might think and can have a far more lasting impact than you would expect. That's not good. Let's talk about it.
This is the Secure Squad podcast with Todd Snap, Brent Bennett, Erin Petty, and Wes Mallory.
I think a lot of companies know they don't want to be attacked by social engineers or hackers. But I wonder if they know what would happen if they were attacked.
What the outcome is of an attack?
Right. What is the fallout from an attack? What could a company expect might happen if they became the victim of a social engineer or a hacker?
Well, the first thing I'll say is that a lot of organizations separate the types of hacks they might encounter. They don't consider necessarily a social engineering attack as damaging as a network attack. And I don't think they realize sometimes that they're the same thing.
Yeah.
They really are. I was thinking, if you think about ransomware, the fallout could be one day you wake up and your entire systems, everything's gone. And the ramifications of that are huge. But that could come from a network intrusion, social engineering, somebody
Phishing
walking,
email.
phishing. Any of those attack vectors could end up there. And so, to your point, they are the same. It doesn't matter how they're coming in. You've got to be ever vigilant, as Todd likes to say.
Eternally vigilant.
Eternally vigilant. To watch all that stuff. Because you've got different things that can happen. You can have a data breach, and then your customer's information is out there. Well, that's a whole big thing. You could have all of your systems completely shut down and just gone forever unless you pay, and maybe even if you pay, you don't get them back with ransomware. There's so many things. It's impossible, I think, to sit back and think what could happen, because the answer is anything could happen, and none of them are good.
This just happened to a company my husband used to work for. They got ransomware and they couldn't work for a week. No one could work.
Right.
Did they
So-
pay? Oh, you shouldn't say that
I'm
probably on
not
the
going
podcast.
to say because
But-
people could
even
research,
if-
but
even
I'm not
if
going to tell
they
you who.
Didn't pay.
Yeah,
your
their data is gone.
Your entire company not working for a week, you're paying them.
Right. If you get back
and
on
you're
track,
not
you've
making
still lost
money.
that. Right.
So the losses, that's
Well,
insane.
let's start there. Ransomware is a good example. Ransomware, the outcome could very likely be out of business. Like your business
Almost
doesn't
immediate.
exist.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you get ransomwared with key data and you are not able to pay or you don't have a backup, there are a whole lot of businesses that are out of business. People are out of work, and that's it. And so that's the first thing we should say is the fallout. The second thing you mentioned is that there are huge costs associated with catching up, with fixing it and catch. So just fixing the problem and catching up could cost millions. That could put you out of business just by itself.
Right. You see a component of the fix for a data breach where credit card numbers are stolen or whatever, is every one of those customers, that company then has to buy and pay for credit monitoring for them, for 2 years.
And do mailers to
Right.
let everyone know.
So just the fallout, not even bringing in a strike team if you have to fix it. What are you going to pay them, and then the time you're losing, but then the ramifications going out to your customer base are expensive.
So those ramifications. Then loss of trust from your, so the loss of trust, or sometimes these things become front page news very easily, and that's just we mention them off the top of our heads, but there are people who remember the Yahoo and Target and Home Depot and
TJ Maxx.
They remember those, and those companies are forever associated with the breach, and they have a reputation then.
Well, and that loss of trust, it's hard to quantify, but it leads to losing customers. And We had a large financial services customer who called us in because they had somebody who experienced a pretext phone call attack that was successful. They had a customer's entire retirement account drained.
Oh, no.
And it went to some bank down in the Caribbean and then immediately bounced over to Russia and was gone forever. And I don't remember how much money it was. It was a lot of money, more than I've ever seen in my life. And
So
or
$10.
will have in my life.
Yeah.
And they,
Like $100,000.
they said, I remember our sponsor there saying, you know what? We have a lot of money. We were able to fund that account, no problem. But the black eye of having to tell the public and go tell that customer, yeah,
And you have to tell.
we lost all your money. You have to.
You have to
and we
report
lost
it.
all your money. And he's like, we're not even sure how many customers we lost because they got freaked out by the fact that somebody was able to just call us over the phone and clean out an account.
And while you're explaining that to the customer, they've got your website up and they're looking at the whole special section you have about security and
Yeah.
how you're watching over their account. And
Talk
how,
a good game.
Yeah, looking at your SSL certificate and all the fancy things that you tell them you've got in place to control their information.
Well, another side of it really is just the disruption. I mean, we've had tests we've done that have had serious outcomes. One of the ones we did, during our process for a large telecommunications company, accidentally reset the password to every single retail outlet. And just, you realize what a real social engineer can accomplish if we stumbled into it. We had one large government agency where, because of the method we used, which would have been a real social engineering method, I mean, the CISO had to step down. It disrupted the whole organization because the test was so successful. So think about if a real criminal had that kind of access, the damage they could do.
Thanks for joining us for today's session of Secure Squad. Next time, we're talking about how to stop a social engineering attack in its tracks. It's not rocket science. It's not really that hard, but it does require that you give careful attention to a few key areas of your business. Be sure to join us then.
This has been the Secure Squad Podcast.